A girl is left behind in the desert, no water, no shoes, and the man who took everything from her is coming back. Today, we follow Elias Ward, a man carrying 10 years of scars as he returns to a decaying cabin and finds Ilara, cracked lips, dry eyes, a heart still trying to beat. This is not a survival video. This is about how a broken soul can be pulled out from the sand and from the past by a single hand reaching at the right time. If this moment makes you believe in second chances, hit like. Every like is a reminder that kindness still has a voice. In the next 60 seconds, Elias must decide, walk away like everyone else, or lift Ilara onto his horse and face the desert and the ghosts that swallowed his wife. For 2 days, her stomach had been empty, her throat dry as desert dust. Before leaving, he spat on the ground and laughed under the dying moonlight. Ilara collapsed, clutching her stomach as hunger twisted through every muscle. Her voice broke between gasps. I cannot take it anymore. Dear God, I cannot. Her head fell onto the cold wooden floor. And in that moment, surrounded by endless silence, Ilara wished the sunrise would never come again. Elias returned to the cabin after 10 long years, only to face the ghosts he had buried deep and unexpectedly found Ilara unconscious on the sandy floor. He thought he was seeing the ghost of his past, but her faint breathing pulled him back to reality. Without thinking, Elias knelt down, opened his canteen, and lifted her head. Ilara drank in tiny sips, the cool water dripping over her cracked lips, and in that moment, life returned. She coughed hard, her eyes snapping open in panic. Please, do not hurt me. Elias replied softly, his voice hoarse but warm. I am not here to hurt you. When she told him about the betrayal, Elias clenched his fists, his eyes filled with pity and anger. You cannot stay here. The coyotes can smell people long before night falls. But I have nowhere else to go, she whispered. Elias looked at the wall where his wife had once died, then extended his hand. Then, come with me. You will not die here today. Ilara hesitated, then took his hand. In a desert where everyone thought only of themselves, 2 broken souls began a journey to save each other. Under the blazing Texas sun, Elias led his horse across the desert, while Ilara lay slumped over the saddle, too weak to sit up. Every jolt made her moan softly, but Elias did not stop, he knew. If he slowed down, she would not survive until noon. When they reached the ranch, the lone wooden house stood like a ghost in the dry grass. Elias lifted Ilara down, placed her on an old dusty bed, then lit the stove, made soup, and boiled water. The smell of burning wood mixed with the scent of hope. When she woke up, her eyes were full of doubt. Elias simply said, Here, no one asks anything of you. People rarely help without wanting something in return, she murmured. Elias smiled. Then you can help me patch a few old shirts. That will be enough. Do. That night, Ilara watched him fall asleep by the fire, his hat covering half his face. For the first time in a long while, she felt something she thought she had lost safety. The next morning, Elias handed her the first cup of coffee she had ever had in this place and said quietly, You are safe now, Ilara. Stay as long as you need. For the first time, she believed a man's words. 3 days later, Ilara could finally walk without trembling. Elias told her to come into town. Fresh air will do better than 4 walls. She nodded shyly. The small town was covered in golden dust, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else's secrets. When they stepped off the wagon, curious eyes followed Ilara. Inside the general store, she was picking up some flour when a familiar voice cut through the air. Well, look who it is. Thought you were dead. Jared, the man who left her in the desert. Ilara froze, her lips shaking. You hit me. You stole my money, and you left me to die. The air turned cold. Jared smirked. She is lying. That money was mine. She stole it while I was asleep. Elias stepped forward, eyes sharp as steel. When Jared raised his hand, Elias caught it mid-air. That is enough. Whispers spread through the store. In a town where rumours travelled faster than the wind, a stranger woman could easily become the villain. Jared stepped closer, his voice low and cold. Want to give it back, or should I take it myself? His arm swung up again, but Elias caught it once more, his voice firm as iron. I said enough, Jared snarled, trying to pull free, but Elias's grip was like a vice. You have no right here, Jared shouted. Elias's eyes stayed calm and cold. I have all I need. The tension hung like a drawn string until the sheriff's boots echoed at the door. Let him go, Ward. That. Elias released him without a word. The sheriff glanced between them, then sighed. If you do not want trouble, leave town. Jared sneered. You heard him, old man. Keep your woman close. He walked out, but the venom in his eyes stayed like a scar. Ilara's hands trembled. Elias turned to her, his voice low. Are you all right? She nodded, but in his eyes she saw something no one had ever shown her before: anger, not for himself, but for her. On the way home, neither of them spoke, but Ilara knew silence was not the end. In this land, pride always came back for revenge. And that night, beyond the wooden fence, a shadow stood watching as the light from their house flickered in the wind. That night, the Texas wind blew colder than usual. Elias was leading his horse back to the stable when he heard footsteps crunching on the gravel. 2 figures moved in the moonlight. He turned off the lamp and reached for the gun hanging by the door. A voice hissed, Come out, Ward. I just want to take back what is mine. Jared. And he was not alone. Inside the house, Ilara heard every word. She whispered, Elias, do not go out there. V. But he stepped into the yard, standing tall under the moon. If you came to do something foolish, then go ahead and try. Jared laughed. You are going to shoot me over a lying woman. Elias raised his gun, his voice like steel. No, over a man who hits women. Jared roared and lunged forward, his knife flashing. Elias dodged and slammed the gun's handle into Jared's ribs. Blood streaked Elias's arm, but he did not stop. Stop, Elias, Ilara screamed. He turned, grabbed Jared, and tied him to the fence as the wind howled around them. Next time you come looking for her, Elias said quietly, bring your coffin. When the sheriff arrived, he saw the blood, the knife, and the truth. Jared was dragged away, still spitting curses. The sheriff placed a hand on Elias's shoulder. You did good, Ward. Now get some rest. When everyone was gone, only the creak of the windmill broke the silence. Ilara stepped onto the porch, tears streaking her face. You could have let them take me away. Elias shook his head, his voice tired but gentle. That is not my way. She laughed through her tears, shaking, but relieved. For the first time, the darkness did not scare her, and as dawn shimmered on the horizon, Elias knew the night had changed everything, not just between them, but inside him as well. Shouts echoed across the ranch. Neighbours rushed in, the sheriff close behind. Jared was tied up, still spewing hatred, while Elias stood silent, blood dripping from his arm, but his eyes burning bright. You did good, Ward, the sheriff said quietly. We will take it from here. When everyone left, the night fell still again, the windmill creaking in the dark. Ilara stepped onto the porch, her eyes wet. You could have let them take me away. Elias shook his head, his voice calm. That is not how I do things. She laughed through her tears. You are crazy. Maybe, he said. But at least today, I know I did the right thing. She looked at him, a mix of fear and warmth filling her chest, a feeling she had not known since the desert swallowed her life. As morning came, pale light spilled across the yard, tracing over dried blood. Elias sat on the steps, his arm roughly bandaged, smiling as Alara poured coffee. She set the cup down in front of him. You made quite a mess here. Elias smiled faintly. Yes, but sometimes living means making a mess for the right reason. After the night of chaos, dawn rose as if no blood had been spilled. Alara and Elias rebuilt the fence together, planted vegetables, and fixed the roof. Each strike of the hammer was a heartbeat returning to life. In the evening, they sat on the porch, watching the windmill turn slowly in the sunset. I once thought my life was over, Alara whispered. Elias smiled. No, you were just beginning again. They fell silent, the breeze brushing gently across the porch. In that quiet moment, they both understood, after every storm, what remains is hope. Under the dry Texas sun, Alara and Elias rebuilt their home, grew vegetables, cared for the horses, and turned a dead land into a place filled with laughter. Every scar on their hands was proof of a new beginning. In the afternoon, Elias sat on the porch, watching Alara smile in the sunlight, and finally understood a person can lose everything, but as long as they dare to believe one more time, that is enough to live. The wind swept across the fields, carrying the warmth of rebirth. If you too believe in the power of faith and kindness, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.